the actual meaning of the word taboo from the ancient civilizations meant sacred. My name is Cati Gonzáles. I'm from Argentina and I've been living in Barcelona for the last 6 years.
And how do you like to be called?
Cati.
What do you do for a living, or what are your passions?
Oof, that's such a huge topic in my life. I guess my passion has always been like people and relationships, and I've always been really curious about things that are not spoken about, or they're like hidden. You know how they're like things when you grow up that you kind of can realize when adults don't want to talk about something. And so I've always been kind of curious and interested in those kind of topics and how people go through life with those topics, ignoring them or not, or just like dealing with them. And so I guess relationships and human beings have always been my passion. And right now, what I'm finally assuming is that passion that I have. I've kind of done everything by the rules. Like my dad is a pretty, I wouldn't say like a strict person, but kind of has a clear path about how you're supposed to live through life. And like being productive is a really big thing for him. And so I obviously did, everything as I was supposed to do. I went to high school, went to university. I learned different languages, which was something that he was really interested in. Learned to play the piano. I just did everything that I had to. And then I came to Barcelona. I was working at like a big multinational, which was something that my dad also always used to say that I should do. And so I ended up here with a really, really good job. I got paid a really good amount of money. But I was just like a slave, I ended up working in something that I was not interested in at all. And all this passion for relationships and like human beings and I guess just life started kind of coming through me again. And I got myself fired from that job a year and a half ago. And I assumed the fact that I wanted to work as a therapist, which is something that I can't really do here in Barcelona because of my university degree, which is in Buenos Aires. And so there's a huge deal with that here in Spain. But I call myself a sex therapist or a sex coach, and I can help people. And right now I'm balancing part-time job as a waitress, which is something that I really love too because I'm working with people. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm also working as a sex therapist. I do online and live sessions with groups and also individuals. And I also like to do group talks. We did a wine tasting a couple of days ago. It was really, really fun to talk about sex and sexuality. And that is just my dream. And I'm really hoping I can do that like full time someday. And English lessons. And that's a little about my professional lifestyle nowadays.
Thank you. Wow. At some point you mentioned you were interested in anything taboo. And so I wanted to ask you, from your point of view, why is sex a taboo in our society?
I found a couple of years ago that the actual meaning of the word taboo from the ancient civilizations meant sacred. And that made so much sense to me when I read that, because that's the whole point of it, like it's such a powerful thing. Like, you spoke about sex, and I feel like the best way to talk about this is to talk about sexual energy, which obviously includes sex, but it's not just sex. And what I mean by sexual energy is just desire, right? And desire is a huge part of sex, but it's also a huge part of life. Like, that engine, that energy that makes us move through different paths that we want to go, right? And if we don't have that sexual energy, that engine, that desire, we're just basically nothing. So like, and I feel like being in charge and recognizing that in each and every single human being is so sacred and so powerful that unfortunately the world that we've been living in the last couple of years, it's a threat, you know, like having people in charge of that energy and using it in the best way possible for each one of us, and also, you know, in society and collectively. It's a threat for, I guess, the system, right? That sexual energy is also nature. Like, the mother of sexual energy is nature. And nature has its rhythms, it has its timing, it has such a huge power in that slowliness, you know what I'm talking about? Yes. And again, I feel like once the world kind of understands the value and the meaning of all this that I'm trying to explain in like 2 minutes, the world is finally gonna be a happy place, and the one that everyone deserves, I guess. So yeah, I feel like, and we have to reduce that to sex, you know? Like, we have to reduce all of this, or the system, or wherever you want to call it, and not talk about all these other things that are
a part of it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I think to me, sexual energy is creative energy.
100%.
And I think in many ways it also covers what you just explained.
100%.
So, okay, approaching it from this stand, meaning it's a sacred topic, when is a good time to start speaking about it?
The thing is that, like, we as human beings are sexual beings since we're born. I mean, we like suck our fingers when we're just a couple of days old. We sense things through our tongue. We sense internal things going on in our bodies, sensations, feelings. That's sexuality too. And we're supposed to talk about that. Hey, if you caress yourself in this way instead of like this, you know, like what are you experiencing? How do you feel? I feel like whenever we talk about sexual education, we only focus it in like, this is a penis, this is a vagina, blah, blah, blah. And there is so much more that we could be talking about to little children. Like, you know, you can only be like, since they can talk maybe, or even earlier, you know, start putting topics on the table like intimacy, respect, empathy, treat the other person how you want to be treated, touch the other person how you want to be touched, you know, like hug when you want to hug someone. I don't know, like, I feel like not talking about these topics also makes you feel kind of like an alien when you're a little child, and you feel like hugging someone, you know?
Yeah.
There's this feeling where I guess it happens a lot to boys, right? They reach a certain age where touch becomes sexual, you know, like, and you can't really touch someone the same way that you used to. It doesn't happen as much to girls because we have, you know, being raised as girls, we have that advantage, at least, you know, where you can sleep, like we can both sleep in the same bed hugging, and no one is gonna call us gay for it, you know. But obviously all of this depends on the culture you grew up in, but at least where I grew up in, or like European cultures nowadays, I feel like we're going through a good horizon. But at least while I was growing up, I saw boys at my school not touching other guys from their same age. They couldn't hug their friend because they were afraid someone was gonna call them gay for it. And that is such a huge
and there is nothing wrong with being gay anyway.
I mean, besides that, I'm obviously not gonna clarify that because that's just stupid for me even to mention, but thank you for doing so.
I want to say it because it could be
definitely
taken the wrong way.
Unfortunately, we still have to say it, but that's part of who we are as human beings, you know, being able to have intimacy with another person and being able to express our love or our anger or our sadness or whatever we feel inside. And that's part of being sexual beings, which is, again, not only having sex, but, you know, like, why do we have sex? Like, that question for me is just like, why? Because if you ask a group of 10 people, you're gonna get a whole different answer from one person to another. And I feel like the common ground is just sharing a moment with someone. And it's even like sex is the excuse. You know what I mean? Like, and everything that comes with it, which is intimacy, hugs, caress, a moment, presence, you know, hopefully care, and being seen and being touched and being able to touch. I feel like that's the main point of it, and that we tend to forget it when we talk about it, you know?
It's like almost a misconception. Yeah, would you say there are more misconceptions about sex and relationships in general? I guess that's like a very big question, but these are the words or phrases that come to my mind right now. Yeah, I think you can still comment on them.
Yeah. I feel like there's been, okay, I'm gonna get really freaky right now, okay? But I've read a lot about these Asian civilizations that used to, there was a breaking point in humanity where we used to adore the moon, and then we started adoring the sun, right? And the moon is, if you want to call it, like the female energy, and the sun is the masculine energy. And I talk about energies because it doesn't matter if you're a woman, a man, or whatever you want to call yourself, it's energy. So you can be a man and have a lot of female energy, and you can be a woman and you get what I mean. And so there was a point in humanity where people used to value life, and they used to value the fact that a woman could give birth and continue. I just picture myself people living in those civilizations and seeing a pregnant woman and seeing how her belly, you know, it has the shape of the moon, and how everything connects and how everything is connected. And there was a time that we were connected to all that magic that we still have, but that it's been lost, you know, and that we can still recover. But it's been a lot, it has been many centuries of installing misconception on purpose for us to think a certain way, to benefit anyone but the earth and nature and ourselves and humanity. Am I sounding too crazy here, or?
To me, no.
Okay.
Maybe to others, yes. We won't know, but that's okay. Even if you sound crazy, there is nothing wrong with being crazy. I wanted to ask you, because you said it would be hard to recover it now. Still, what do you think would be the first steps to start living, I guess, more mindfully and more in tune with nature?
Yeah, I feel like that's basically what I do. I try to introduce sexuality as a way to live a conscious life, and getting deep into yourself and getting deep into know yourself, like getting in touch with your, and I don't know if this is the right word in English, but fluidos, like our fluids, you know, like we're really disconnected from that. How do we talk about girls about menstruation, or how do we treat poo, you know, like our fluids, that we deal with them every single day of our lives. Since we're born, we're just gonna have fluids in our lives, and how do we relate to that? I don't know, I feel like a lot of my work has to do with women, has to do with menstruation and blood, and with men also, right? Because how do men relate to that, and how does that affect in the world that we live in? So I feel like there's little things that we can do with our daily routines to kind of connect to those kind of things. And it's as simple as, I don't know, like touching your knee. Like, have you touched your knee before? Have you seen it? Have you stopped for 5 minutes and looked at your knee and touched it in different ways? And, you know, like, what shape does it have? Like, is it different to yours? You know, kind of paying attention to those little things that we not see or even disgust us, because a lot of people are really disgusted by a lot of the fluids that they deal with daily. So I feel like that's a really cool tip, I guess, to kind of apply.
I love it.
Yeah, look at your poop. I'm just kidding, but maybe not.
I need to catch my breath, or not really catch my breath, but I'm gonna take a breath. And now I'm gonna ask you, no, actually I have one more question to you related to the things that we just talked about. Now, with you doing what you're doing, and I guess you being happy with choosing this path, is your dad happy for you? Or if that's too private, don't worry, you don't have to answer.
No. I feel like it's an interesting question. I feel like he is. I feel like he really is. It's not easy to have a daughter that just sits in front of 60 people and start talking about, you know, vaginas and sex and masturbation and things that you might not want to see your daughter talk about. But yeah, I love my dad, and I feel like we learned together. My relationship with my dad got so much better when I understood more and more from human minds and how we basically function throughout the world, recognizing that people are people and that we kind of all suffer the same or not, each one in their,
way.
in their way.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely knowing yourself gives you a different view of others too.
Yeah. Now I would like to move to a different topic and ask you about your dog, because I know you have one.
All right, so I got Paco 2 years and almost a half ago. I got him with my ex-boyfriend. We broke up like 2 or 3 months ago. We were together 6 years. So Paquito is a victim of the situation right now, but he is my best friend. So yeah, we got him through Protectora here in Spain. And
So it's like a shelter,
it's
right?
a shelter, right?
Okay.
And they brought him from the south of Spain, in Granada, and we adopted him here in Barcelona. When I got there, and I was playing with the little black one, there were a couple of puppies, and it was winter, and I had this like big coat, and when I sat down on the ground to play with the puppy, I suddenly turned and I had this like little brown puppy laying down on my coat, like right against my back. And I was like, okay, what the hell is this? And I grabbed him and we finally took him, and it was Paco, right? And so we were gonna get another one, but then I just got there and he like chose me, obviously, as they always do. And yeah, and he's been with me ever since he was a little puppy.
And what is he like?
He's pretty crazy. He has a lot of energy. I call him the survivor because he had like a really bad virus. And the vet told me that he was about to die. He was in the hospital for a week. It was a really bad situation, and he made it. He got acupuncture at the vet. Like, they took so good care of him and they saved him. He's like, he gets in a lot of trouble and he has a lot of energy, but at the same time, like, whenever he's with someone that he trusts, he's just like a little teddy bear. He'll just ask you to like put him on your lap and he'll just fall asleep on top of you. He like sleeps in the bed. He likes to get under the covers. If I take him outside, like, he'll just like play with all the dogs around and like run and get a ball and get a stick for me. He doesn't like to be alone. That's a huge issue. Because he's a pandemic baby, so he like grew up having my ex-boyfriend and me working at home. So whenever I need to leave him alone, he bites on the walls. Yeah. If you leave something on his height, he'll probably get it, especially if it's a book or like a wallet. Yeah, he'll just grab it. If he's alone and you're not watching him, or like he's like distracted, I don't know, I feel like he feels a lot whenever he's alone. And so I have to be very careful. I'm doing this trick now where I saw this trainer doing it, where I put little like dog like little treats in his favorite blanket. And I like put one and fold the blanket, and put another one and fold the blanket, and kind of put the treats in the blanket, and kind of I do it like this and kind of tie it up so it's like not easy for him to get into the treats. And so I leave that in the room, and that keeps him chill. But I could, because I feel really bad, because like he just doesn't like I don't think he has a good time, you know? I should definitely look into that, because
it's an issue. And I think right now he's with your ex-boyfriend.
yes,
And
we have shared custody now.
so how is that? Like, how is it to share a dog with your ex-partner?
I feel like it's been hard for him. Like, I see it. He's a really expressive dog too. So like he has really, I don't know. I feel like we communicate. And we split like 2 or 3 months ago, and the first month he was just stuck to me. Just stuck. He wouldn't leave my side. He definitely knew that something was going on. I feel like we're all kind of adjusting to this new situation, you know? And I feel like because we're like best friends in that way. He helps me and I help him. There was a really weird thing that happened to me when I got Paco that I understood. It's those things that you understand later. I was walking the metro, and I always took him with me everywhere. And so he was walking behind me, and I could hear a girl laughing. Like, I was walking through the tunnel of metro, and I could hear a girl laughing behind me. And I turned around, and she was laughing at Paco, and she told me like, "Oh, your dog is so funny. He's like, your coat is kind of flying while you walk, and he's like getting under it, and he's just like playing with the coat." And then we started talking, and she told me she was a vet, and that she was from Colombia, and that Paco was a really special dog, and that he would basically save me. And this is exactly what she said. Like, this dog is gonna save, like, you don't know it yet, but he's gonna save you. And I was like, okay. And I didn't understand it at that time. And when I split, obviously after 6 years of being with someone, it was a huge deal for me, you know, breaking up with him. And Paco literally saved me. Like, you know, those nights when you're just like,
you need somebody.
yeah. And we like hugged, and he was there for me. So yeah.
So he's your best friend.
Forever. In my heart. Yes. I feel like he's adjusting well though. I feel like we both have really clear that his well-being is the only thing that's important for us. So even when you don't want to talk to your ex-boyfriend, when you've just broken up and you're just like, I don't want to do this. But it's been a really nice way of end up a relationship in good terms.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've never done it before. I've never had a dog with someone, so I've never had to do this. But it's a huge learning experience, and it's nice. It feels nice having Paco kind of walking us through this new adventure, I guess.
And in what ways do you think pets like dogs can help people to become better creatures?
At least to me, what dogs do is remind you about that presence. I feel like there's little things that Paco does every single day that kind of reminds me of doing it. Just like walking around with him. If you pay attention to what he's doing, he'll just teach you so much about enjoying and being there, you know? I do a lot of walks now, and I really enjoy them in a way that I didn't before. When I have him next to me, he's like the best reminder of the things that I want to remember. I feel like they definitely know more than we do. I feel like a lot of people have that theory with cats. I feel like dogs have this bad rep of being like the stupid ones, and like cats are more, you know, mystic, energetic, which is definitely true. But that dogs have something really important to show us and teach us. Ooh, talking about the devil.
Hello, Pakora.
She heard us.
She heard us. She did.
She definitely heard me. Yeah, you know, like they're just so transparent. You know, they have a tail, and whenever they're happy, they move it, and whenever they're scared, there's no way that you could misinterpret a dog.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people that don't, and I see this every day with Paco, right? Whenever I'm at the metro, people want to touch him.
Yeah.
And he's a really friendly dog. People are drawn to kind of go and touch him. And I lost my train of thought. But here's the thing. Whenever people go over him, and he is very respectful in, like, you have to be really slow. You have to wait for him to smell you and go into his own rhythm of things. And that's why he's not really good friends with kids. Because, you know, kids want to touch him and kind of scream and kind of, you know, and he's more like reserved. And so a lot of people kind of go over him on the metro, and you can see, like, you can literally see his body doing this and, you know, drifting away and lowering his head and putting his tail into his legs. And it's like,
showing his boundary.
Exactly. And how can you miss that? You know, like I feel like there's a lot that dogs can teach us regarding empathy and actually looking into another person and being able to recognize things in the other person just by looking at that person, you know, like non-verbal communication.
Yeah.
So I think that Paco says, pay attention. Like, he says that a lot. Like, dude, pay attention.
Pakora, please don't move the camera. No, we don't do that. We don't. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Cati. Pakora, please don't. Thank you. You know, she's never done that to anybody. Like, she never, really, never, ever.
Really?
No. She never went to a stranger to, like, sort of say, like, hello, or...
or get out.
Wow. But yeah, I want to ask you, is there anything else you'd like to share, or is there a message you'd like to finish things up with?
It's important for, I guess, animals in general, not only dogs and cats and pets. We can't really communicate verbally with them. And I feel like a lot of people don't respect them or give them the lives that they deserve, you know, being responsible with the environment and taking care of not only their homes but our home too, because you know, we're animals too, and we tend to forget that sometimes. So I think that it's always good to remind ourselves that we should treat all living creatures with their love that they deserve. I feel like that's always a good reminder.
Thank you so much, Cati.
Thank you, Marty.